Okay, folks, here I am, and on with the show. That wasn't a bad lunch. I think they dyed the soup to match the flowers. Maybe they dyed the flowers to match the soup. Our first award presenter is a man of many talents. Life magazine published a photo of him doing a backflip next to a starlet on Sunset Boulevard. He choreographed Elvis in Jailhouse Rock. His work has been shown at the LA County Art Museum. On film and TV, some of his most memorable characters desperately needed Didi Hirsch's services, like Riff, the leader of the Jets in West Side Story, and Dr. Jacoby, the warped psychiatrist from Twin Peaks. Please welcome the multifaceted Russ Tamblyn. Russ?
Thank you very much. I'm very, very excited and happy to be here today. My daughter Amber, who was supposed to present this award to her good friend Russ Szabo, is very sorry that she couldn't be here, but she's been filming in Utah, Danny Boyle's next movie. If you don't know who he is, he did a little film last year called Slumdog Millionaire, which did pretty well. And she's doing his next movie, so I'm very happy about that. And so she asked me to fill in for her, and I immediately said yes. Ross is a friend of our families. We all love him. Now, you know, maybe about between 20 and 25 years ago, I would have been a little squeamish about coming to a mental health awards. But that was before my lovely wife, Bonnie, sitting down there, she tricked me into going to a therapist. The way she did it is that she was going to therapy, and she came home one day and said, you know, my therapist, her name was Judy Leventhal, great lady, and she said, my therapist, Judy, said that she would love to talk to you about me if you wouldn't mind going in. And I said, no problem, no problem. And I tell you, before I knew it, I went in to see her, and I thought it was going to be about Bonnie, but, she started saying, do you hear what you're saying? And before you know it, I was into full-fledged therapy. And I must say that I really, really discovered a lot about myself. And it turned around my life just amazingly well. Well, so here I am now, relaxed, and got to tell you, our family actually knew Ross before Amber did. My wife was shows you where therapy leads you. She was became a teacher at Crossroads School in the Human Development Department. She taught life skills. Now she teaches teachers up at the Ojai Foundation. But she came home one day from Crossroads and she said, boy, she says, I just heard this just marvelous speaker today at Crossroads. He spoke to all the kids and he inspired them so much. And of course it was Ross. And so we got to know him, and became our friend and one of Amber's dearest friends. He was grounded and he was warm. He had an incredible sense of humor, and he was very modest. There was a lot about him I didn't know. I mean, I knew that he was really involved with youth, but I didn't know exactly how much. I had no idea that he was director of youth outreach for a national organization founded by Tipper Gore, and that he'd spoken to more kids than you can possibly imagine at high school and college campuses all over the country, not to mention the fact of being on Oprah. He reached a lot of kids through her, and that he was the first mental health advocate to be named the best male performer of the year by a college, national college magazine. I just wish that Russ could be here today, but he's very, very far away on a new important journey. So he did tell his story to award-winning journalist Bonnie Strauss, and I think we have that for you here today.
Open spaces and water have always been the most peaceful settings for me. There is a peace to just being able to look out on the water and breathe the salt air and know that everything is okay here and everything can be okay. At 16, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder with anger control problems and psychotic features. And that happened in the summer before my senior year. At that point, I was really regularly breaking my knuckles and toes, punching and kicking things, and had severe hallucinations. I had thoughts of suicide and death 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In early January, my senior year, I attempted to take my own life. I didn't really want to die in that moment. I just couldn't handle living the way I was living anymore, and taking my own life was a way out of that pain. After I got out of the psychiatric ward, a psychologist came into one of my classrooms to talk about patients he was treating. This psychologist chose to talk about a patient he had who thought he was Winnie the Pooh. Obviously, if you tell those stories to a high school audience, they're going to laugh. But when you're struggling and have just been released from a psychiatric ward, you're not going to take that laughter lightly. Really felt like they were laughing at me. And so I grabbed my teacher and I took him out in the hallway and I said, "This isn't funny to me." And he looked down at me and he said, "What are you going to do about it?" In my mind, the first thing I thought it was I need to speak. 2 weeks later, I stood up in that classroom and I spoke for the very first time at 17. And when I finished speaking, nobody laughed. I really think the most important thing when I'm speaking to young people is to have them understand that it's okay to be going through whatever they're going through. It wasn't just going into a school and saying, "Everybody gets better, you can do this." What I wanted to do was go into schools and say, "You have to start somewhere." And as a speaker, I got to go in and say, "Seek help," and I was out. Didi, Hirsch, they do the hard work. All the people who work at Didi, Hirsch stay. And they stay with those people for some of the most challenging and important parts of their lives. I've never met anyone who cares as much about other people as Heidi does. Heidi's really just been amazing in stabilizing me and balancing my world.
From the moment I met him, I knew he was an incredibly honest person. He's just, anything you want to know, he's very upfront about it, and he has a good heart.
On April 8th, we fly to Botswana, and we will be doing AIDS awareness with an NGO over there, working with orphans and vulnerable children. Heidi's been wanting to do the Peace Corps since she was 13, and she talked me into it. Well, it took her about 4 years.
Probably more like 5 years, actually.
I am a person outside of this disorder, and I'm a person who had a huge heart. And I think that this relationship is more reflective of a person that I always was. I think the biggest message I want to leave behind is that it takes a lot of strength to seek help for these issues. It takes a lot more strength to be honest, and it takes a lot more strength to change negative behavior than it does to hide it, or to ignore it, or to hope it'll go away.
Wow, I got to tell you that Russ is very far away in Botswana, and he sends his greetings to all of you and would like to thank you and thank the Didi Hirsch Foundation for this award. And
Hello?
oh my God, that voice sounds familiar.
Hey, Russ, it's Ross Szabo calling from Botswana.
Oh, wow, what a surprise. Wow.
If you guys are amazed, you should see the phone I'm calling you on. So I just wanted to say thank you very much, Russ. Thanks for those words. I want to
my honor.
thank the Didi Hirsch, everyone there for the award. I've had the opportunity to go to this award show a couple times, and I'm really just humbled and honored to be a part of such a distinguished group, and especially with my fellow awardees today. I really want to thank the National Mental Health Awareness Campaign, especially Gail Kamer-Lieberflarb, who was there for every step of this. I want to thank my friends, my family, especially Heidi, who's been my backbone through all of this. And the last blog I wrote before I left America, I said that I was fortunate enough to blaze trails, but that it was time for new fires to be lit. And I'm most proud of the fact that the work we were able to do is being continued with active minds. And I hope that everyone in the audience continues to keep those fires burning bright. And there's a lot of people out there who still don't have a voice, who still don't have a positive example, and who still need a lot of help. And in Botswana, when we say thank you, we say Kea leboha, and hosiame is goodbye. So Kea leboha, hosiame. Thanks a lot.
Boy. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
You took the words right out of my mouth. So, this is the award. I will make sure that Russ gets it. Thank you so much, everybody.